Hello everyone, welcome to another informative episode on White Davy Construction and Farm. What we're looking at here are two tomato plants that are almost the same size. Yes, they're a bit damaged from the pesticide that I used on them a few weeks ago. And so these are going to be a part of my experiment. We're going to be comparing worm castings with compost, and then I'm going to be running an experiment with these tomatoes using worm casting on one and compost on the other. So before we get into that, let's compare them. So worm casting have more nutrients than regular compost. It has a higher source of NPK than compost, and it is an excellent source of micronutrients, microorganism, plant growth hormone, and plant enzymes. Worm castings can hold its nutrients longer than compost, and it retains moisture longer too. Now, worm casting require less time to prepare, and it also requires less space, and it can be done indoors or outdoors, whereas compost requires a lot of space. It requires a lot of time, because especially if you're hot composting, you have to wet it each week, you have to turn it each week so that the heat and the air can circulate. So compost takes more time, and it is mostly done outdoors. Now, worm castings can be done in shallow containers, but then compost require larger one, especially if you're hot composting. Now, worm castings help to make plants more resistant to plant diseases. Okay, so there's a wasp flying around me. Here I have the two tomato plants. This one is a bit smaller than the one on the left. So this one I am going to be planting in the castings, because casting is said to have better results than compost. So I'm going to give the smaller plant the casting. So now I have over here, as you can see, I have soil mixed. This is 6 parts soil to 5 parts compost, and I've already moistened it. So I'm just gonna mix it up some more to make sure that both the soil and the compost are fairly evenly distributed. I don't need to add any more moisture to it because it is pretty moist. Okay, I should think that is good enough. So I'm just gonna transfer the material to this pot. Okay. Now I'm going to put this plant, the bigger one, in here. Now this is it for that one. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the castings. So here I have worm castings and compost, and worm castings, which is 5-part castings to 6-part soil, just as I use 5 parts compost in this bin to 6 parts soil. So I'm doing the same thing here. I want both plants to have the same conditions so that at the end of the day, when I draw my conclusion, then it will be accurate. See, I got a little Redwiggler here. I'll just put him in the pot so that I don't crush him while I'm stirring this thing. The soil I'm using is not very rich in nutrients. It also needs to be amended. So that's the whole purpose of using the compost and the castings, to have that nutrients that the soil need or the plant need, and it's going to amend this soil as well. Now it is also said that when you use castings as your fertilizer, it even affects not just the size of your produce, it affects even the taste of the produce. And so that is one of the results that I'm going to be checking on, and I'm going to be updating you on that as well, to see whether or not it is really so. I've always wanted to do this experiment, but I didn't get around to doing it last year, and I'm actually glad that I didn't, because I would not be sharing all of this information with you regarding the benefits, the difference between using castings and compost. So it worked out for the best, because now others can benefit from that information. Now I'm just going to put this in here. Let's take it away from the edge. Now that now that this soil is 5 parts castings to 6 parts soil, at the end of the growing season I will be looking at the soil to see what changes, if any, have occurred in terms of the soil being amended so that it will be loose, because as you can see now, it's not pretty loose. Okay, so here you have it. Okay, so here you have it. Both plants practically the same size. The pot is different, but the content of the pots are the same volume. 6 soil to 5-part compost or 5-part castings. And as you can see, this one here is blossoming, and so is this one. So now I am going to take them and put them where they need to be. Okay, so on the left here I have the smaller pot with the smaller plant, which is the castings, and on the right I have the one in the compost. I am going to be labeling both pots so that I won't get confused in the future, and so that you will be able to identify it for yourself, which is which, and I am going to be keeping you updated. Did you find this video informative? Would you like to see more videos like these? Why not take a moment to subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification? Give me a thumbs up if you enjoy this video. Please share it with your friends if you know they're into gardening and they may be wondering which is better to use, whether compost or castings. And don't forget to leave a comment in the section below. Now, have you ever done this experiment? I would like to know what result you've had. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching and have yourself a wonderful day.